Imagine a lethal experiment hidden deep within the secret confines of a Korean government laboratory, where scientists embark on a series of unsettling experiments, manipulating innocent dogs in the hopes of transforming them into deadly weapons for the battlefield. Have you ever wondered what lurks beneath the surface? So without wasting any time, let's dive into the full narrative. Behind locked doors, in a clandestine Korean facility, a terrifying transformation is taking place. Innocent dogs are being molded into something monstrous, a weapon of unimaginable power. This is Project Silence, a secret that could unleash chaos upon the world. Meanwhile, in the seemingly mundane setting of the National Security Department, Secretary Young discreetly hands Deputy Director Cha an envelope brimming with cash, a silent token of gratitude for his unwavering allegiance and support in their covert endeavors. Later that evening, at the Cha residence, a sense of unease hangs in the air as Deputy Director Cha observes his daughter, Kyung-min, meticulously packing her belongings, preparing for her departure to pursue academic opportunities abroad. As she carefully places her deceased mother's treasured book into her suitcase, her father interjects with a harsh reprimand, lamenting the unnecessary weight it adds to her luggage. Kyung-min, visibly distressed by his callous remark, reminds him that it's the last remaining copy before retreating to her room, leaving a palpable tension lingering in the air. As dusk settles, Deputy Director Cha dutifully drives Kyung-min to the airport. During a brief stop at a gas station, Cha attempts to pay with his card, only to be informed by the attendant, Joe, that the card reader is malfunctioning and that cash is required. Cha, ever observant, notices Joe's possession of a master key and accuses him of being a tow truck driver masquerading as a gas station clerk. Joe feigns innocence and Cha, unconvinced, departs without paying, promising to return with cash for the owner later. At the bustling airport, sisters Miran and Yura find themselves unexpectedly barred from boarding their flight due to Yura's oversight in renewing her passport. Yura, consumed by frustration, places the blame squarely on Miran, her manager, lamenting the potential loss of her highly anticipated golf tournament. In a serendipitous moment, an elderly woman named Sunak approaches them, mistaking Yura for her cousin. Startled by the sudden appearance of her husband, Buying Hack, Sunak instinctively attempts to cross the busy road, narrowly avoiding a collision with an oncoming vehicle. The sisters, quick to react, pull her back to safety just in time. Buying Hack gently reminds Sunak of his identity as her husband, leaving the sisters to realize Sunak's advanced age and possible memory issues. Moments later, this unlikely group finds themselves converging on a bridge shrouded in a thick, impenetrable fog just outside the city. Most drivers navigate the treacherous conditions with caution, but a young man in a vibrant yellow car recklessly speeds through the fog, documenting his reckless behavior for social media notoriety. A mysterious car equipped with a cage in the back also traverses the bridge, its erratic movements forcing Cha to react quickly to avoid a collision. As the car passes, Kyungmin catches a glimpse of a forlorn dog confined within the cage, its sad eyes reflecting the gloom of the day. Meanwhile, in another car, Dr. Yang is being escorted to a laboratory by a pair of stern-faced soldiers. The reckless driver in the yellow car continues to push his limits, nearly colliding with another vehicle before slamming on his brakes, effectively blocking a portion of the road. This sudden obstruction forces a bus carrying Buying Hack and Sunak to screech to a halt, narrowly avoiding a devastating crash into the bridge's guardrail. However, other drivers are not as fortunate. A car collides with the yellow car, triggering a catastrophic chain reaction that engulfs nearly every vehicle on the bridge in a tangled mess of metal and debris. Drivers desperately attempt to evade the carnage, but their efforts are futile, and some are forced to abandon their vehicles before being fatally struck. A massive truck barrels through the chaos, attempting to avoid the bus, only to lose control and topple onto its side, further compounding the wreckage. Panic grips the survivors as they scramble to escape the mangled pileup just moments before the truck comes to a final, crushing halt. Adding to the chaos, a police car approaching from the opposite lane collides with a fallen crane, effectively cutting off any immediate hope of rescue. Back at the gas station, Joe faces the wrath of the station owner for the lost revenue. As they listen to the breaking news of the devastating pileup on the bridge, Joe realizes that Cha must be trapped in the chaos. Driven by a sense of obligation, he sets off in his tow truck, accompanied by his faithful dog, Jody, determined to find Cha and offer assistance. On the bridge, Cha and Kyungmin cautiously navigate the wreckage, witnessing the unfolding devastation around them. The mysterious car with the caged dog manages to maneuver through the debris unscathed, but Dr. Yang's car, caught in the chaos, loses control and crashes violently, flipping onto its roof. A stray tire catapults through the air, striking Cha's car and sending it careening into the guardrail. Another vehicle carrying soldiers collides with the overturned truck, but the caged car manages to stop just in time. The driver emerges to check on the precious cargo within the cage, ensuring its safety amidst the mayhem. Kyungmin, witnessing the suffering around them, urges her father to help the injured, but Cha insists she remain in the car while he assesses the situation. The soldiers have already extricated Dr. Yang from his wrecked vehicle, who keeps muttering about escaped dogs. While Cha attends to Dr. Yang, the soldiers rush to the caged car, only to find it empty, the driver's lifeless body sprawled inside. The captain, sensing a grave danger, immediately orders the jamming of all cell signals on the bridge. Returning to his car, Cha helps Dr. Yang inside and attempts to use his phone to call for help, but the signal is lost, leaving them stranded and isolated. He also notices that Kyungmin is gone. Following a strange noise, Kyungmin discovers a large dog, designated E9, frantically banging its head against the bridge's fence. She tries to calm the agitated animal with food, but Cha arrives, instinctively protecting his daughter, causing E9 to flee. The soldiers inform Dr. Yang that the dogs have escaped and that they must activate the control program. Dr. Yang hastily activates a software program on his laptop as the soldiers announce the imminent arrival of a helicopter, a statement that piques Cha's suspicion. He questions the logic of flying in such dense fog and reveals his affiliation with the National Security Department, demanding answers about the blocked phone signals. The soldiers, tight-lipped and evasive, warn him to stay out of their affairs. Cha, defying their orders, attempts to seize a radio, prompting the soldiers to restrain him with handcuffs. Just then, Joe arrives in his tow truck, encountering the police officer from earlier attempting to clear the wreckage. Seeing an opportunity to earn some much-needed cash, Joe offers to tow the officer's damaged vehicle. Inside Dr. Yang's car, the activated program displays a lineup of the escaped dogs. The soldiers take defensive positions as the dogs suddenly reappear. Each dog bears a control chip implanted in its head, designed to manipulate their behavior and render them aggressive on command. The animals, incredibly fast and agile, quickly overwhelm the soldiers, who struggle to subdue them with shock sticks. Dr. Yang observes with concern that E9 remains unresponsive, its behavior a mystery. After a fierce struggle, the soldiers lure the dogs into a cage, effectively trapping them inside. As Dr. Yang deactivates the program, a helicopter descends onto the bridge, deploying a fresh contingent of soldiers. Jody, sensing the commotion, runs towards the newcomers, prompting Joe to follow. Cha demands an explanation, but Dr. Yang cryptically advises him to inquire about Project Silence with his superiors before joining the soldiers. The dogs are transferred to a new cage as Dr. Yang manages the control program, distracted by Jody's persistent barking. Joe attempts to reach his dog, but the soldiers push him back. Suddenly, Kyungmin appears, approaching Jody, but a soldier tries to stop her. Cha intervenes, protecting his daughter. At that moment, a soldier discovers a discarded chip on the ground, realizing that E9 has intentionally removed it by banging its head against the fence. As the helicopter lifts the cage containing the dogs, a soldier aboard notices E9 lurking nearby. The dog attacks with lightning speed, killing the soldier and causing the operator to lose control of the hoist, sending the cage plummeting to the ground. The co-pilot attempts to shoot E9, but the dog is too quick, killing him before he can react. The helicopter, spiraling out of control, collides with the bridge's suspension cables, its mangled wreckage emitting a deafening screech that sends the remaining dogs into a frenzy. The cage breaks open, unleashing the enraged animals upon the terrified survivors. The dogs, now free and fueled by primal aggression, wreak havoc on the bridge, tearing through cars and attacking anyone in their path. Panic erupts as people flee in terror, the bridge becoming a scene of unimaginable horror. Dr. Young is attacked by a dog, and he desperately throws his laptop to distract it. The dog quickly retaliates, tearing at his pants and dragging him towards the edge of the bridge. Cha intervenes, pulling Dr. Young back from the brink. A soldier arrives and attempts to subdue the dog with a shock stick, but another dog pounces, killing the soldier instantly. Seeing another dog approaching, Cha flees with Kyungmin, Jo, and Jody. Yura struggles to reach Miran, who is trapped in the panicked crowd. As a dog closes in on Miran, Yura grabs a golf club and strikes the animal, allowing them to escape. Jo attempts to take refuge in his tow truck, but finds a dog inside, forcing him to flee once more. Dr. Young manages to find a functioning car, and Cha and Kyungmin join him, narrowly escaping the pursuing dogs. Cha is reluctant to stop for Jo and Jody, but Kyungmin insists, and they manage to pick them up just before a dog reaches them. Jo and Jody scramble into the trunk just in time. As other survivors seek shelter inside a bus, Cha's group drives onward, witnessing the final, explosive demise of the wrecked helicopter. Debris rains down on the bridge, igniting leaking gas from the overturned truck and blocking their escape route. The ensuing fire triggers another car explosion, sending shrapnel flying, shattering the windows of Cha's car. He loses control of the vehicle, desperately trying to avoid the flames, but they crash into the guardrail. Meanwhile, Secretary Young scrambles to deploy rescue teams, but the dense fog prevents helicopters from flying, and the bridge is too high for ships to approach. He assures the press that all available resources are being deployed for a swift and effective rescue operation. Back on the bridge, Cha grabs Dr. Yang's radio and desperately calls for help, but his pleas are met with silence as another dog approaches the car. The dog briefly sniffs at the shattered windows before losing interest and moving on. Dr. Yang reveals the horrifying truth about the dogs, explaining that they were initially developed as rescue animals, trained to respond to human voices, but the military repurposed them for a more sinister purpose. Commissioned by American and European governments, the dogs were reprogrammed to become ruthless killing machines, capable of tracking and eliminating targets based on their voices. However, the project went awry, resulting in the creation of hyper-aggressive, uncontrollable killing machines. The dogs were being transported across the bridge for disposal when the disaster struck. After another attempt, Cha manages to contact Secretary Young using the radio. Young advises them to return to the middle of the bridge, warning them of the toxic fumes emanating from the burning truck. Cha confronts Young about Project Silence and its connection to a high-ranking government official, claiming to possess incriminating evidence. However, Young reveals that Cha's own department is also involved in the covert operation. Suddenly, a pack of dogs surrounds the car, but another explosion erupts, intensifying the flames and driving the dogs back. The car fills with smoke, but a bus arrives just in time, offering a temporary refuge. The group, covering their faces from the choking fumes, sprints towards the bus and joins the other survivors. As the bridge begins to collapse, the bus hastily retreats, just as the wrecked helicopter finally plummets into the chasm below, triggering a massive explosion. The shockwave rips through the bridge, snapping the suspension cables and causing the central section to crumble into the sea. A cascade of cars plunges into the water, but the bus manages to escape the devastation. Nearby, E9 regroups with its pack, preparing for the next stage of their deadly rampage. With the immediate danger subsided, Cha introduces himself to the other survivors and assures them that rescue is on the way, despite the fog-induced delays. He fabricates a story, claiming that the explosions have disrupted phone service and that the dogs are part of a military canine unit suffering from rabies. Despite their skepticism, Jo supports Cha's fabricated explanation, and the survivors reluctantly accept his version of events. Jo discovers an abandoned bottle of liquor and discreetly approaches Cha for a private conversation. He demands payment for the gas, and Cha, desperate to maintain control of the narrative, promises him a substantial reward and a medal for his silence. Moments later, a SWAT team arrives on the bridge, heading directly for the bus, claiming they haven't encountered any dogs. Cha contacts Young, warning him of the imminent danger, but Young insists that the soldiers will protect the survivors. The group cautiously begins to cross the bridge, stepping over the lifeless bodies scattered along the way. Suddenly, Dr. Young spots a dog lurking among the wreckage and instinctively recoils, accidentally triggering a car alarm. To their horror, more car alarms activate, drawing the attention of the soldiers, who advance to investigate, only to be ambushed by the cunning dogs, who deliberately triggered the alarms to lure them into a trap. The dogs, displaying a chilling intelligence, target the soldiers' weapons first, causing them to fire wildly and injure some of the survivors in the process. Miran is shot in the leg, and Yura shields her from the attacking dogs, using a nearby object as a makeshift barrier. As the soldiers fall one by one, Sunak, losing her grip on reality, attempts to pet one of the dogs, only to be thrown to the ground and injured before a gunshot scares the animal away. Cha is also attacked and held captive by a dog as Joe watches from beneath a car. Jody, loyal and protective, begins barking, drawing the dog's attention away from Cha. Joe flees with Jody as Cha rushes to help his daughter. Kyungmin struggles to retrieve her backpack from a dog, refusing to abandon her deceased mother's book. Cha forces her to let go and pulls her away, but as the dog pursues them, a soldier shoots it dead. Another dog immediately kills the soldier, highlighting the relentless nature of their attackers. Cha and Kyungmin manage to reach the bus and hide in the luggage compartment. However, Cha realizes he has dropped his radio and ventures back out to retrieve it, also grabbing Kyungmin's backpack and a flare gun. While waiting, Kyungmin watches a video of her mother reading the book to her in the hospital, a bittersweet memory that brings both comfort and pain. She is interrupted by Dr. Yang, who opens a hatch leading to the main section of the bus. Dr. Yang reveals that E9 is the original dog, and the others are clones. She explains that E9 views the other dogs as her offspring, and that she was forced to witness their deaths during the experiments. This is not a hunt, Dr. Yang explains, but an act of revenge. Meanwhile, Cha finds the remaining survivors huddled inside an overturned truck. Only Joe, Jody, the sisters, and the elderly couple remain. Joe confesses to revealing the truth about the dogs, and Sunak is bleeding profusely from her earlier injuries. Cha ignites some torches with a flare and fires another into the sky, hoping to attract attention. Secretary Jung, monitoring the security cameras, spots the flare. Cha informs him of their plan to reach the bus and requests snipers to eliminate the dogs, but Jung refuses, fearing negative press coverage. He assures Cha that a SWAT team is waiting at the bridge's breakpoint. A desperate Cha informs Jung that the survivors know the truth, and Jung abruptly ends the call. As the group reaches the bridge's breakpoint, Kyungmin tries to open the bus door, but Dr. Yang stops her, fearing the dogs will get inside. The dogs surround the bus, and the survivors attempt to ward them off with the remaining flames. But one dog manages to reach Sunak, biting her fatally. Byung-hak uses his torch to burn the dog and drive it back, but the dog bites his leg instead. With the torches dying, Joe drinks the remaining liquor and spits it onto the flames, creating a larger fire that effectively keeps the dogs at bay. Cha aims the flare gun at Dr. Yang but ultimately fires it at the ground. The bright flash temporarily blinds everyone, and Dr. Yang releases Kyungmin, who finally manages to open the bus door. The survivors scramble inside, and Joe kicks Dr. Yang for her inaction. They realize the bus keys are missing, and they use Joe's master key to start the engine. Secretary Jung cancels all communication with the press, facing mounting criticism and jeopardizing his presidential aspirations. He receives a message from the government official, offering him a choice: save the survivors or let them perish. The bus reaches the bridge's break point, and Cha tries to contact the SWAT team via radio, but there is no response. The group debates their next move as the dogs wait outside. Kyungmin proposes a plan. They hide in the luggage compartment, equipped with a camera, and sadly, Sunak passes away. The dogs enter the bus, and the group triggers a trap, closing the door and trapping the animals inside. They emerge from the compartment, but Byung-hak refuses to leave his deceased wife. As Cha argues with him, the dogs find the hatch and try to open it. Byung-hak urges Cha to leave while he holds the hatch closed. The dogs manage to bite Byung-hak's hand, and Cha tries to pull him away, but Joe assists him, Buying Hat closes the luggage compartment door just as the dogs reach him, sacrificing himself to save the others. Cha wants to go back for him, but Joe restrains him, reminding him that it's too late. The group searches for the SWAT team, but they are nowhere to be found. Dr. Young realizes who Cha has been talking to and reveals that Secretary Young initiated Project Silence, propelling him to his current position of power. Enraged, Cha calls Young and condemns him for his lies, vowing that the survivors will escape and demanding that medics and the press be waiting for them or face his wrath. The group decides to use Joe's tow truck to escape through the toxic fumes, but the keys are back on the bus. Dr. Young retrieves her laptop, and they devise a plan to lure the dogs back into a cage. Cha volunteers to be the bait. Before entering the cage, Kyungmin tells her father that she doesn't want to study abroad anymore. She also hands him her mother's book. Yura prepares her golf clubs and confesses to Miran that she knew her passport had expired but said nothing out of fear of missing the tournament. Dr. Young activates a recording of Cha's voice reading from the book, driving the dogs into a frenzy. Yura begins hitting golf balls at the bus window, weakening it until the dogs can break through. The dogs immediately rush towards the cage, desperate to reach Cha. Joe seizes the opportunity to retrieve his truck keys from the bus, only to discover that E9 is still loose, lacking the control chip. Terrified, Joe runs back to his truck, where the others are waiting. E9 pursues him and attacks Dr. Young. She grabs a discarded shock stick and begins electrocuting E9, who suddenly retreats as the ground begins to tremble. Another section of the bridge collapses, sending the cage and the remaining dogs tumbling into the chasm below. E9 rushes to help her pack, but the falling vehicles crush them as they slide into the sea. The last remaining dog is trapped beneath some debris, and E9 desperately tries to free it. The cage also begins to slide but catches on the edge of the bridge at the last moment. Joe and the others arrive in the tow truck, but Cha stops them, fearing the truck's weight will further destabilize the bridge. As they wait for the inevitable, Cha reads a note his wife wrote for their family at the end of the book. He sees Kyungmin approaching with a grappling hook and opens the door to warn her back, but E9, remembering Kyungmin's earlier kindness, refrains from attacking her. The bridge continues to collapse, and the trapped dog falls into the abyss. E9 follows, leaping into the void after her last remaining offspring. The cage slides further down, and Cha desperately clings to it. Suddenly, Kyungmin appears on top of the cage, securing the grappling hook before helping Cha climb up. Joe and the others drive the tow truck forward, pulling the cage behind them. The bridge continues to crumble, and the truck accelerates, forcing everyone to cover their faces from the toxic fumes. Joe expertly navigates the truck through the flames and debris, the cage bouncing violently along the way. Another section of the bridge collapses, and Joe executes a daring maneuver to avoid it, severing the cage in the process. Reaching safety, the survivors believe Cha and Kyungmin to be lost, but the severed cage, propelled by its momentum, rolls into view. Cha and Kyungmin emerge, joining the others in the truck. Cha promises Joe the medal he deserves for his bravery. The truck continues onward, reaching the end of the bridge, where officials and reporters are waiting. Secretary Young greets them warmly, but Cha punches him in the face. He throws the envelope of money on the ground before revealing the truth to the reporters. Both Cha and Dr. Young provide recordings as evidence of the horrific experiments. Cha announces that Kyungmin will not be going abroad, and they share a heartfelt embrace. On the shore, E9 emerges from the water, carrying her last surviving clone. She gazes back at the bridge, her quest for vengeance far from over.